Diablo clones exist because they scratch an itch to collect, to upgrade, and to progress. They tend to have lots and lots of loot, consistent progression, and typically they offer MMO-grade combat. The combat isn't meant to be particularly interesting, it's kind of just there to showcase the shiny new spammable skills that you've just learned. Chronicon is a game much in this vein. If you look at the pixelated art style and the fanfare associated with it for the last 3 years, you might wonder, is this game actually any good? I'm Blitzen Cross, and today we're taking a look at Chronicon. Now typically in these Diablo clones, the most important thing to get right is the progression. The gear treadmill has to be pretty satisfying without being annoying, and the build tree has to be expansive. You have to have options, and those options have to be meaningful at every step along the way. Now this is the first of many things that Chronicon gets right. The gear treadmill is great. You get interesting and useful loot on approximately every other map. You can socket existing items with gems, and gambling is a thing if you're absolutely desperate to fish for an immediate upgrade. There is consistent progression in this game, and it's fairly convenient progression too. The inventory might be initially very limited, but there are upgrades. And as you progress through the game, there are waypoints every few screens for you to teleport back into the main hub and deposit your loot, which your other characters can share. Meanwhile, the build system is incredibly immersive. So in Chronicon, you have 4 classes. You have the Templar, the Warden, the Berserker, and the Warlock. They each have different energy sources which accumulate in different ways, like souls from defeated enemies for the Warlock, or rage from attacking and being attacked for the Berserker. And building on top of this simple foundation, each class has several different skill trees that they can invest in, as well as a mastery tree to enhance the abilities in the skill trees. The skill trees are diverse. I can play a Templar who specializes in Wrath and attacks fast and moves fast. Or I can specialize in Conviction and be ranged with health and mana regeneration to build a more defensive playstyle. The mastery points, which draw from a separate pool of experience, enhance these skills and offer additional passives. You can also mix and match the elements from different trees to get a completely new build. Now I love games in which I can build in many different ways and have my character feel unique. It's probably the biggest selling point of this game for me, but I think what pushes Chronicon above and beyond in its genre is the speed. This game is indeed another grind game, but it values your time. The building and customization happen immediately. You get actives in the game right away. If I want to change my default attack at the beginning of the game right after starting a new character, I have as many as 10 different options for that in my skill trees right there. No investment needed. If I want to opt for a mana draining spell instead, I can pick one right away at level 1 and I have just as many options there. I played as a Berserker on my first playthrough and I decided that I didn't really want to use my fists, I wanted an AoE lightning attack. And that's what I spammed for most of the first portion of the game. In this game, skill resets are also really easy, and so if you get tired of playing in a particular way, like you get tired of seeing these zombies be fried to a crisp with lightning, then you can just change to a fire shield build and burn them to a crisp instead. The difficulty can be changed at any moment as well, from casual to normal, to harder difficulties like epic. They've actually done difficulty pretty well here. Instead of deciding at the beginning what difficulty you'd like to play at, you can change the scale as you go. Say that you want to play the first 10 levels on normal, as they recommend, and then you move up to epic after you're at level 10. Or maybe you want to be casual for a bit and just walk around and kill everything with your fire shield. Well, you can do that as well. These changes are instant. Even the animations are quick in this game. When I'm spamming attacks, they come out immediately with no delay. I believe there is a buffer system so that when I click in the end of an animation, the next attack is queued up. And this is what really makes Chronicon shine, I think. It's self-aware. It knows that you're playing this kind of game to spam a button and get loot, and it leans into that design. It makes it as easy and as convenient as possible to play that way, to play that genre of game. And if there's one mechanic that I think really demonstrates this better than any other, it's overpower. In this game, as many games of this genre tend to do, you have elemental attacks, and sometimes enemies resist the element of your choice. But if you invest in a trait called Overpower, which some skill trees like the Berserker's Lightning skill tree have, then you can overpower their elemental resistances and damage them anyway. This enables you to spam your favorite attack. Now, that's not to say that the game itself is easy. On higher difficulties, without the right potion setup or the right skill layout, you could be completely destroyed. There are also a decent number of different types of enemies. There are enemies that push and pull you, there are enemies that explode, there are enemies that drain your health, there are enemies that teleport. It is a decent variety, and you will get challenge if that is what you seek. The music and aesthetic in this game are alright. They're there, but nothing to really write home about. But the thing is that this game really understands itself. It understands that the focus doesn't need to be on the music or the aesthetic. Chronicon realizes that to be a good Diablo clone, it needs to make the grind easy.